Welcome to another episode of the Chrissie Mayer podcast. We are on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, and SoundCloud. And if you're listening to us on iTunes, please go ahead and leave a 5-star review. Here's a great review from Jake's Kitchen. Love this show. My favorite guests have been the astrologer types. Now, I can't tell if this is sarcastic or genuine, but I appreciate it. Yeah, I think I've had 2 astrologer type guests on. There was Dan from the Cosmic Keys podcast who read my whole natal chart, which was very fascinating. And then Amy Belair, who did like an Akashic reading, which was basically like a past life reading. And I discovered that like perhaps me and my dad used to date. So that was pretty disgusting to learn. But yeah, thank you so much for the review. So excited, guys. I have dates coming up. I'm just going to quickly roll through them. I'm going to be at this, by the time this comes out, maybe it'll be in the past. Stress Factory, Sunday, 2/28. That's in New Brunswick. Comedians of the Compound is coming back to New Jersey on March 20th. And then I'm heading to Florida to do the Boca Black Box in Boca Raton, Florida, April 30th. And that's with Tim Young. And then we're going straight on to the Lake Park Black Box in Palm Beach, Florida on May 1st, also with Tim Young. Then we're headed on 5/2 to Side Splitters in Tampa, 5, 7, and 8, Appleton, Wisconsin, 5/9, Oklahoma City, and then to Austin, May 14th and 15th with Comedians of the Compound. Then me and Tim Young are heading to Zanies in Nashville, May 18th. May 19th, Stand Up Live in Huntsville, Alabama. And then June 3rd, Hilarities in Cleveland, Ohio with Tim Young. Please come check us out. For tickets and information, please go to my website, chrissiemayer.com. Please and thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who came out to the shows in Dallas. Though that was a blast, despite the crazy little blackouts we had there. Very quickly, want to talk about our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Cushy Dreams. Look, guys, this is some quality shit, and I'm sorry to curse right out the gate, but if you're somebody who, does gummies, does vapes, does even like CBD oil, like liquid CBD. I used to be so all about that until I started smoking my CBD, and I felt such a difference. These products are so quality. I really prefer the pre-rolled joints. So basically, it's like this high quality. It looks and feels and smells just like marijuana, but it's not. There's like 0.3% THC in these products. You get all the benefits of CBD without getting high, without going to La La Land. You're not going to, if you're sensitive to weed, you're not going to go out to lunch. You know what I mean? If you want to get things done, this stuff is perfect. For me, I have a couple puffs. Within 5 minutes, my body and my mind are calmed down, and I can kind of go about my day. They've got different strains based on whatever you want to do with your day. Whew, I don't know if that was a yawn or a cough, but there's different sativa indica blends in different, I call them flavors, but create, dream, energy, hustle, peace, relax. So whatever you want to do with your day, Cushy Dreams has you covered. Now they're selling this 5-pack of like pre-rolled joints. This is the CBD hemp flower. If you're more the type to like smoke it out of a bowl, or I don't know, are people still doing bongs? And then they have these individual CBD joints. Join the men and women who are ditching their gummies and their vapes, and they want to smoke their CBD. I'm just a big fan of their stuff. It's very high quality. They're constantly doing independent lab tests to show purity and compliance. And all this info can be found on their website, cushydreams.com. And no matter what you buy, guys, use the promo code CMP. You're going to get 20% off your order plus free shipping. That's right, guys. Our other sponsor, really, really quick, is adamandeve.com. They're not just about sex toys. I know I'm a sex toy person, but I have to acknowledge not everybody out there wants to put something inside them. So adamandeve.com is great for lingerie, great if you want to dabble in bondage, if you need a whip, a paddle, 50 Shades of Grey stuff. If you want to get weird, if your Valentine's Day did not go the way you thought it would, look, goggles. I don't even know what this is for. Oh no, that's a sleep mask. Goggles. They've got bath bombs, they've got lubes, oils. There's a reason why they're the #1 adult toy superstore. Go to adamandeve.com, use the promo code CMP. You're going to get 20% off your whole order plus free shipping. Go nuts, guys. Get a penis ring. Treat yourself. All right, guys. On that note, this is the perfect note to bring up my guest because she's down with all that fun stuff. This girl and I would say we have been friends for years. She's one of the comics that I sort of, we came up at the same time. So I'm always happy to see these folks win. Her new album is called Douchebag Deterrent. You can buy it on iTunes, Spotify, or Amazon Music. And her podcast, SLUT Housewives, is all about the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City and New York City. It's Camille Theobald. How are you, girl? Yay. And I've muted her. Imagine I bring her on just so I can
oh my gosh, I'm like,
there you are.
Okay, yeah. Sorry.
It's all good.
Alexa went off earlier, and so I muted myself because I was like, oh my God, I don't want to interrupt Chrissie's talks about sex toys with my Alexa notifications.
I know. I moved out of my apartment. It took approximately 1,000 trips, back and forth. And then I'm there, I don't know, because I've just moved so many times in my life, but it's usually because I'm going from one rented room to another. And this was the first time I had sort of it's like you rent a room in New York City or whatever. And you just have your one 10 by 10 or whatever room. But I've had the opportunity over the last 4 years to accumulate multiple rooms worth of crap. So, and I'm there sweeping up, scrubbing the fridge. I'm just like, is this enough? Is this okay? But Camille, when did you start doing? I know I started comedy in 2010. I think it was March of 2010. Was that around the same-ish time for you?
Yeah, it was around that time. That was when I did. It was November or something. No. Okay, this is what it was, because I remember I was not 21 yet.
Ooh.
In August of 2010, I checked out New York Comedy Club. I just went. This is when I was I hadn't started yet, but I was curious. So then I think my first ever open mic was in November of 2010.
Oh wow! Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so you were really, and I thought I was young-ish, but now it's I really wasn't. I was 26 when I started. So you were 21 when you started.
Yeah. It took me a while to get serious though. I definitely just screwed around for a little, here and there. I had no idea how much you needed to be out.
Oh,
I was I'll go really, twice a week and I'll be great.
Yeah. And that's how it was when I started too, because there's nobody, unless you happen to be hanging around that other comic who is going out, who's getting up 10 times a week, unless you happen to be friends with Suba, basically that's the only one I can think of.
Yes.
Then you're going to be casual about it. You're going to be, getting up for a while. I did a one open mic a week, maybe two. Yeah. And it's no, dude, if you're doing this, you have to be kind of all or nothing. And it takes a few years for you to figure that out, because you're I don't know. You just you have a lot of people telling you oh, that's not enough.
Yeah. Yeah, it has to be a second job, basically. But I didn't realize that till a couple years in. And then I was like, oh, shit, I've been doing it wrong.
Yeah. And I think people don't know just the amount of sacrifice that goes into truly pursuing. If you're going to be a hobbyist and get up whenever, but to truly pursue it and see where it takes you, it's you go ahead and be prepared to give up travel, I don't know, reproducing, having anything nice, living somewhere with space,
being a part of anything else, any group activities. There's no time for any of that.
You're oh, I want to be a comedian but also be in this bird watching group. Guess what? Bird watching, that's going out the window. You got to give that up.
No book clubs.
No book
you gotta give up your book club. Yeah.
If you're serious, yeah. I want to talk about your album. I'm going to share your Facebook page.
Oh,
Ooh, right? Isn't this is technology. I'm a woman in
I love
tech.
it.
This was actually yesterday. My album released today. Thank you everyone for your support. I made it to number 2 on the iTunes charts. From possibly 30 seconds, but it counts. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to share my comedy with the world. After 10 years grinding the pavement, I spent most of the last 12 months grinding Zoom, which is very inappropriate, but we do what we got to do. This album is an accumulation of jokes I wrote in my 20s, and I can't wait to release my 30-year-old material one day. And this is so great. I'm just gonna play like a little clip. Oh, can people
Okay.
still see this? Because I love this clip, and this is just like for the people out there that are like, oh, I have to like hear a snippet before I know if I like you. But this is a good
Yeah.
little snippet.
Charming, witty.
I'm starting from the beginning.
It's like I went 25 years dating men, and they're easy.
Mm-hmm.
There is no skill involved. Getting a man in bed. Zero. Straight women do not need game, okay? It's just not needed, okay? But on a date with a woman, I have to be charming, witty, coherent. With the guy, I just show up.
It's so true. It's so true. And Camille, like I remember you kind of, is it weird to say you came out as bisexual? Is that a
Yeah.
term? Like it's
Yeah.
funny. People probably
I
go,
started.
do you have to come out? Like, I think
Yeah. Some people
Yeah.
are like, what's the point? But I'm like, I feel like it's important. I don't know. Because I think I don't remember hearing that much about the bisexual experience. Like I didn't even know that was an option for me for so long. So I want to talk about it to make sure people understand. I mean, obviously the younger generations are all about that stuff, but it was something I was like, this is unique and different. And also it was a big part of my life when I was like, mid-20s. So figured, why not joke about it? You have to.
No, it is so true. And like I still don't think there's enough like I don't know, to me it doesn't feel like there's enough like bisexual representation. I think like there's so much like we're so much about LGBT, but like I think the B's kind of like get lost. Like the B's don't really have the spotlight. So I think it's good to hear a comedian joke about this stuff because like you said it's kind of like always been part of your sexuality, but it's another thing to start writing jokes about it and being like kind of out about it.
Yeah. And it's funny because like I just had to dating women, I thought it would be easy. And so when it wasn't, I was like, this sucks. Like I kind of get what guys are saying now, like
yeah, I've fooled around with some women, but I've never dated one. And I've always thought like that. I think that's how if you'd be willing to date a woman, then I think like you can truly own the B and LGBT. So it's like, I just feel like, I'm like, I was in the minor leagues or whatever. Like I just, or just fun at parties. I don't know what the title is. I don't know. But, like, how is it harder? Right. It's like, how is it harder to date a woman? Well, it's kind of like what you explained in your joke. It's like you can't, it's almost like it sounds like you can't just show up and be hot and let the night take you away. You like be hot, look as good as you can and start drinking is usually the winning combination for a date with a guy.
Yep. Guys are usually so horny. It doesn't matter as long as you look good. And women become horny because of like talking and like touching. There's a lot more finesse that goes into it. And so I always thought I was so good at flirting, and then I found out, oh no, men are just desperate and horny.
And that's everything from dating to getting off. It's so easy to get it. Like I don't know, maybe it's just because I've like put in a lot of hours. Like I've had a lot of hours in the field. But I'm just like, I got it. But if the few sexual experiences I had with women, I'm like, I know that I have one of these, but I am was fully intimidated. Like I can truly barely get myself off. Like I have a joke, like, and I'm only saying it for the listeners, like Camille, you'll probably roll your eyes, like, because we all like when comedians like mention their jokes. I don't know. So, but I'm using this as an example of like, I'm okay. You know, people are all worried about the machines taking over. It's like, I am not worried because the machines have already taken over all of my orgasms. Like that's based in reality for me. Cause it's like, I can't get there with my hands and maybe I just need to set aside more time. But I don't know. So anyway, I don't
masturbate with my own hands.
I find my own gear to be intimidating. So how am I going to do that on some other gal?
I see.
You don't have to answer that, but just like
I've never used a vibrator with another woman.
And that's the thing is like women like will look on your bookshelves, we'll look to see if your car is vacuumed, you know, like look at the shoes. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember one of my first dates. It was I think our second date. We were near my apartment, so we ended up going there after dinner, and I was like kind of nervous because I was like, do I make the first move? I don't know, because she was also bisexual, so it was like kind of
which one of us is the dude? Yeah.
Yeah, who is the aggressor in this relationship, or whatever this is at the moment. And I was like showing her my comic books. I don't know why.
Oh, you're the dude. You're the dude, Camille. Whoever has the comic books is the dude.
That's the dude? Okay.
Aw, just stereotypically speaking. But that's so cute. You're like, do you like my stuff?
Yeah, and then she left. She left soon after that. So.
Oh my God. Never start with the comic books.
I know, don't ever do that.
So like putting together and releasing an album is like, it's something I think every comedian wants to do at one point. Like I myself tried to do one a couple years ago. My mom died. The whole project fell apart. And I just was like, oh God. But it's like, it's something that I've been doing it 10 years. Like I don't have an album out. People are like, where's your stand-up? And I'm like, that's a good question. But it's like, it's an arduous task. It's like the stakes are so high, you know, like to get everything set up to record. There's just, you're really putting like all your eggs in like the one basket, or if you do 2 shows, 2 baskets. Yeah. So like explain, you know, your creative process. When did you really decide, okay, I'm doing an album? And so like, where did you go about, you know, putting it together and recording it?
Well, so I had done a headlining set and it went insanely well. And I just happened to record it and videotape it.
Wow. Okay. So that never happens. Most comics don't record their sets. And then the time they do, they like bomb horrifically. So you were already in a good habit.
Yeah, so I had done a couple of headlining sets out of town at like in Durango, Colorado, and Salt Lake City, Utah. And both those times I was just like, damn it, I should have recorded it, you know? So then this time I was like, I'm putting the money out. It was like $200 or something to have it done. And there was no plan to make an album. So it was just like, this is going to be the thing I send to clubs so that I can go on tour.
Yes. And like the tape. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had a couple shows like lined up in Virginia, the Virginia Funny Bone, and then and like another one in Maryland, and then the pandemic hit. So then I was like sitting there with this tape, and I'm like, I could just like break it up and put some things out. I don't know. And then I was listening to the audio and I was like, this could just be an album, you know? And I wasn't sure because there were a couple like technical things that needed to be fixed about it. And then I got a career coach because I was floundering.
How did you find a career coach? Like
she's kind of like a life/career coach because she does a lot of sort of inner work to figure out what you want to do with your career, like what your purpose is. Because because she thinks, you know, you shouldn't just like pick a career because it's fun. Like you got to have that inner like drive to make a difference in some way. You know, you either want to help people or you want to build the biggest business, whatever. So talking with her, I had mentioned this audio and she was like, you should do something with that. You know, when we don't know when the next time you'll be able to perform in a like 300 seat theater, you know, like when are you ever going to do that again? So I was like,
this recording was from which club? From was this in Colorado that you did the recording?
This was actually in New York City.
Oh, which club?
Yeah, Caroline's.
Oh my God. Yes, of course. Like everything lined up and to do well at Caroline's. It's a big deal.
Yeah. So I just edited it. I went through and edited all the audio, and it took a little bit, and then I like looked up, how do I publish this? And I found a website that will distribute it everywhere. There's a couple websites like that. And it's distributed like in so many stores I never even heard of, you know, like iHeartRadio, Pandora, Napster still exists. I didn't know that. It went to Napster.
Napster, where have you been? Yeah.
You just play a flat fee and it just like distributes it. So did all that and now it's out there.
Does it, and like exactly that feeling like, oh, it's out there now. Like, do you ever get hit with any kind of like, oh, like I could have done this joke better, or like, oh, definitely. I could have added these tags? Yes. Yeah. There were like certain points where in this set, I riffed a lot. Maybe not a lot, like 10 minutes was riffing. Okay. Which is great. Like a lot, not every comic can do that. But it didn't make sense if you couldn't see it. So a lot of that had to get cut out. And so then I was like, oh, I wish that chunk that I had to cut out because it didn't make sense. Because if you don't see the visually, like that audience member or something, then it's just kind of like weird. So I wish that I like had more just actual jokes in those minutes so that it was a full 45-minute album, but 35 minutes, I feel like no one has an attention span anymore. So maybe that's perfect. Yeah. I think that's perfect. That's like that's a long shower and leg shave and like getting ready. Or like that's a good drive amount of time somewhere. Yeah. But like, good for you for doing it, because, you know, if you don't just pull the plug and say like, okay, I'm putting this album out, like you can always do it better. You can always, because it's just like, it's like this forever thing, the album, but it really is just like, it's a snapshot in time of an artist, and, you know, it'll like take on a life of its own, which is it's really cool. It's a huge accomplishment, Camille. That's very cool that you're like, I'm going to put it out, because things were dicey. And I remember like my last show before things got squirrely was like March 8th or 10th. And I was in LA, and I was like, thank God it was at the end of the trip. And I had done like 90% of what I wanted to do. But I just was like, oh my God, I'm making jokes on stage. Like, well, you know, this room would have been packed, but a lot of my fans were stuck on a cruise out of Wuhan. So they'll be here. Oh no. Here. It's so important.
Last show before it all got shut down, I did Fat Cats for the first time, and
which is like that's the offshoot of the Cellar. That's like one of their That's huge. That's great. Yeah, it was really, but it was a socially distanced comedy show, so it was like weird. It was like, whoa, okay. Yeah, but it's like, you know what, we just make it work. And what's really important about you putting out your own album, Camille, is like, it's like one of these lessons that I think we both have learned in comedy. Like, oh, you're not always going to get somebody who like takes you by the hand and picks you and chooses you to be. That's what a lot of people think when they get into comedy. Like, oh, I'm going to be chosen. I'm going to be lifted out of the mass and given all these opportunities. And here's all your TV spots. And here's your podcast deal. And we're going to do your album. You just sit tight. You just, you know, do your hair. And we'll send a car. It's like, no, bitch. Like I feel like you and I are both comics who just like, at a certain point where both were like, oh, we have to do this all ourselves. Okay, here we go. And you just make it work.
Yeah. I figured that out earlier with like acting kind of stuff. And then after, I got past a bunch of clubs and then nothing happened. And I was like, oh, well, my goal was to get past and now I'm past and now nothing is happening. This doesn't seem right. This is against everything I've been told, So then it was like, I guess I have to just make it. I saw other people, get recognized or just they got respect from doing their own thing. And I was like, okay, then that's what I have to do. Just.
Yeah. Because a lot of comics it's like, oh, and it's so easy. Like I've had so many moments like over the last 10 years where like, it's so easy to get jealous because you're like, oh, why do these same 10 people get written up in every comedy article? Like, why does it feel like everyone's got representation but me? Like, why does it seem like the same few people like, get to do all the late night shows? And it's like, you could spend so much time like being angry and like resentful. And then when that passes, you're like, okay, but like, I'm still fucking great. People like what I have to offer. Like, how do I best put it out there? And then just like, see what happens.
Yeah. Definitely.
Do you struggle a lot with like, I don't know, comparison or do you just like, because of your acting background, which is acting is very competitive too, probably even more so than comedy, who knows? But did you feel like you already like learned those lessons of like, don't compare yourself?
I definitely had my weak moments. I remember like there were years where I would just get so angry that someone who had started comedy after me was getting a spot at a club that I'd been passed at for several years. And I was like, wait, what? So
like, you just got it.
Really, yes, it was that part was frustrating. But then I had to like look at what I was doing because, looking at what other people do, it should be more of an example of options that you could take on. What was their technique? How was it different than yours? And can I learn from it rather than be mad at them? I should be happy for them. Like I had to start reading all those like spiritual books and shit, just like self-help books.
I'm reading my whole book stack. I later have like a whole bookshelf full of all those books. Like somebody would walk in here and be like, oh, a basic chick lives here. But like, sometimes it just takes you, all right, you got to reread these points and get it together. It's so easy to like just get mad at other people. And then like, you just have to remember like there is no lack of opportunity in the world. Like when you remember that, you're like, oh, okay, this person, I'm only in competition with me from last year or me from 5 years ago. If someone gets some, you know what I mean? Like I definitely was at a place where if like you got something, Camille, I'd be like, oh, well, we're both white female comics. Like what, what the fuck? But it's like, what's meant for you is going to go to you. And like, what's meant for me. And like, I think when I keep that in mind, I don't get to those like jealous, angry places. But of course it's like easier said than done. And you just, that's why when you focus on creating your own stuff, it's like you feel fulfilled and you're not just sitting around waiting for somebody to pick you, because when you're sitting around waiting and then you don't get picked and you're also not creating anything for yourself, you're like, oh, it hurts.
Yeah. I think that's huge. And I think that is for any competitive field where you are not in complete control all the time of like your growth and your opportunity. Like, I feel like when you're a business person or in finance or whatever, there's clear steps of like, this is what you have to do to get to here. And with anything creative, there is no map. Like you could try, but it doesn't work for everybody.
Like if you want to be a teacher, I'm sorry, but it's so easy. It's like you go, you like, you go, you major, you get it. Major in
Graduate.
whatever. Literally, my sister majored in English. She didn't even teach English. She just majored in whatever, and then got a teaching degree. I think like went to a Delphi or something. Whatever. I'm not like shitting on her master's, but like there's steps. Like you want to be a chiropractor? Guess what? There's a path for you. You want to be a pilot? Guess what? Here are the steps. You want to be a doctor? Okay, it'll take a while, but here's what you do. And like comedian, it's almost like the reverse. Like anybody can identify as a comedian, but there's no fucking path. In fact, there's full of shit, and there's no even shovels that you can see. You're like, oh, I have to like the shovels are all buried, and you have to dig them out with your bare hands.
Yep. Yeah. It's like an episode of Survival or Survivor.
You're like, who here would I eat first if they die?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think once I started having projects to work on, any comparing and jealousy went away. So I think that's huge. And you inspired me a lot.
Oh my God. Stop.
Yeah, you did.
Go on. I had no idea she was going to say that.
Yeah, because you had your Stonewall show that was like super popular and packed house every weekend.
I missed that show. Yeah.
Yeah, and then creating your own, TV show, and you were creating your own stuff, and you were creating a tour schedule for yourself. And I saw that, and I was like, oh my God, I need to be more like Chrissie Mayer.
Oh God, thank you, Camille. Yeah. Holy shit, it was hard, and like especially like that Stonewall show, because I remember like I had it for 6 years, which is like kind of long for a show. Like I'm sure you've like at least done a lot of guest hosting. I don't know if you like ever had your own like produced show. I think everybody does at one point. But it's like, it was so hard because like the venue booker like really didn't give a shit about comedy at the end of the day. It was a gay bar and he would very like over nothing, just like kick my date out and be like, oh, can you just do this? Like it was a Saturday night show once a month, which is like a primo spot. And you'd be like, oh, can you just do it Wednesday? We have an urgent Madonna sing-along that has to happen. And it's like, okay, like you clearly don't care about comedy. And so I struggled with that a lot, but I learned a lot of lessons. I was like bending over backwards, and I was like like putting a lot of my money into the ads and stuff. But it was like a labor of love, right? So, but when I finally like had to leave it because he was changing the date like too often, I was like, I can't. Like always, the caliber of comics that I am getting or I'm trying to get are not just somebody who can do it whenever. Like
exactly. Yeah.
So when I had to like let that go, I did feel like a big part of my identity was like, oh, well, now I don't have this to like offer to people. And like, yeah, there were some people that were like less nice to me for it. And you're like, oh, you got it. All right.
Oh, that happened. Yeah. I co-produced a show for a little while at Rockwood. Yeah. Rockwood Music Hall.
That's in Brooklyn, right?
It was actually in the Lower East Side.
Right. That's where I think the Stand had some like pop-up shows.
Yeah.
It's a cool spot.
Amazing. It was awesome. But yeah, booking it and having that going was rough. It was, but then people were nicer to you all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like,
and you're like, is it because I'm losing? Do I look good? Oh, that's why. Got it. Am I just a good person? No. Yeah.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
What did you learn from producing your own show?
I learned that I don't like myself under pressure, like under stress like that. I'm very controlling. And so I don't like who I become in that, I do comedy because I'm in control of what I say on stage. But when you're, putting on a comedy show and a comic is late or they cancel last minute, I felt like I was becoming this person that I didn't want to be. And you can't do that and be funny on stage. It's so hard to do both.
Like the different parts of your brain, like literally on one side, you have to be like a manager and you've got to like cross the T's, dot the I's, care, be on point, remind people. And then the other is like, oh, you can just like roll around in your own craziness, you know?
Yeah, it's
Be
not
free.
good to do both. I think you could be the host of a show that is produced, or you can produce a show. To do both, I mean, obviously you can, but it's better if you can separate those two parts of yourself. Like maybe you set up everything, but then on the day of, someone else helps take care of the tickets and all of that while you can be creative. Yeah, it just has
It's
to be
so
separated.
much. It really is so much. Like that's what, like I heard that a lot, like throughout my years producing. Like I forget, God, I don't know if it was Tim Dillon. I don't know who it was, but somebody was like, yeah, like at some point, like you should give that up or else people will see you as a person who books a show and not a serious comic. And that like, that really like went through me because I was like, but I love this show, but I put candy on the tables, but I have confetti and I play cool music as people are sitting down. Like, what do you mean I can't do both? And then, but then you do see people that like have gotten stuck in that, like just a producer of their show, which is like fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's so weird. All these like little kind of lessons, and it's good that you learn that about yourself. And you're like, okay, this what feels like a loss is like, okay, I'm just creating space for the thing that makes me happier. And sometimes that thing is having a podcast about the Real Housewives. How did the SLUT Housewives come to be?
So I never watched any of the Housewives shows, but I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah. And when I heard that they were going to have their own reality show, I got so excited because it wasn't about Mormons. And like everything that is about Utah is always about Mormons. And obviously, you know, some of the housewives are Mormon, but it's not centered around that. And so I had met another female comic from Salt Lake City. And so I was like, hey, do you watch the Housewives? Would you want to do a podcast about this? And Hasmin, she just happened to be a huge fan of the Housewives. So she's like, yes, that would be perfect. So it ended up being awesome because I was very new to it and she was very knowledgeable about it. So it was a nice, like, and she's also very like specific on like what she likes. She knows like if this happens, no. If this, and I'm like, I love everyone. So it's a really good like balance. And around that time, Storic podcast, it's a podcast network. They were just starting out, and I happened to meet someone, and they were like, "Hey, we want to have podcasts. If you have any ideas, let us know." And so it was like just perfect timing, and we teamed up, and they've been awesome.
Interesting. So I would not recommend this to anybody. I just tried to Google slut housewives, and your podcast was not the first thing that came up. Believe it or not, Camille.
Make sure there is a comma, SL, comma, UT. Housewives.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's Salt Lake, Utah. You know. Oh yeah. I should probably explain why it's called SLUT. So Salt Lake City, Utah is usually how it's written, obviously. But when you live there, no one calls it Salt Lake City. It's like, yeah, I'm from Salt Lake. Just like in New York, you're not like, yeah, I live in New York City. It's usually, I live in New York. So it became sort of like an inside joke there. Like there's t-shirts with this on it because it's like a big inside joke in Salt Lake. And we were trying to figure out, we didn't want to just name it the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City podcast. You know, we wanted it to stand out, be different. Yeah. And also both me and Hasmin are huge sluts. So it's perfect.
Is this, do I have the right thing right here? Yeah, this looks like you. Yeah. This should be you. SLUT. I'm going to play it. Yeah. From the home of the Mormons, coming straight out of Utah, keeping it real and catching up on that drama with Hasmin Garza and Camille Theobald. Ooh. They got the keys to Salt Lake City. Here we go. This is a dope intro song.
Yeah.
Housewives. It's the SLUT Housewives. It's the SLUT Housewives. It's the SLUT Housewives.
The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City concluded. It's Gonzo. Season 1 it's over.
Oh, this is great. Okay, so you've done the whole thing from Zoom.
This is it.
Yeah,
baby. We
not
made it.
everything.
We
This
made
is
it to
just
the
the
very,
last
very end,
episode.
so,
We ended up doing it from Zoom because Hasmin went to the motherland. She was in Utah this
The
week.
motherland.
this is why we got-
Yeah. So one of the housewives has a tequila company, and she was able to like buy the tequila and try it out. And we were, it's like a white lady making tequila, so we were very skeptical.
We know that's problematic. Like
Oh,
Kendall
yeah.
Jenner had to learn the hard way. Yeah, you could have told her.
Yeah. I know, right? But George Clooney's done it too. So I don't know. It's like
Everything's just easier when you're a man. I mean, come on.
it's tequila has to be made in Mexico to be considered tequila. So at
Is
least
it like
there's
champagne and you know what I mean? Like it's champagne
And
versus
whiskey,
sparkling
yeah.
wine or
Yeah.
prosecco.
and scotch. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so part of why Kendall was canceled is not just because she's white, but because she was making it out of Mexico. Or not out of Mexico. I don't know. I'm really feeling sympathy for her.
I don't know.
All right, now I'm not anymore. I'm back to she'll be fine. What do you like about watching the Real Housewives shows? Because I remember at one point I would watch it like years ago, and I would get like angry because I was like, these women have so much money, they don't have to work. I've always had like 15 different jobs. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, I can't watch this. Like, they're lucky. I'm jealous. What the hell? I'm turning it off.
Yeah. Well, luckily, like I don't know if it's recent, but a lot of these housewives all run their own companies. So
okay.
they
I take
started
it
with
back.
money, and they made a business happen. But so they're still like working, like the Vita Tequila woman. She has this tequila company. Then she also has a vodka company.
What's her name?
And she's
Vita
the
Tequila?
Mormon one. Yeah. VIDA Tequila.
Vita Tequila. Let me see her. I'm just seeing images of the bottles.
Lisa Barlow.
Okay, Lisa Barlow.
Yeah. So her whole thing is she wants to be the next Winston Churchill or something like that. And she wants to be a money mogul. Okay. She wants to be huge. And then another housewife owns a media company. One owns a beauty, I guess it's kind of like a dermatologist office because they do normal dermatology things and they can write prescriptions for marijuana, but they also do injections and stuff like that.
Yes, everyone loves that. Yeah. Oh, here is Lisa Barlow. Okay, yes, she's showing leg. Yeah, of course it's easier to start a business when you've got money. All right, I thought this would be a lot more satisfying to show what she looks like, but she looks exactly what I thought she would look like.
Okay.
Do you
From New York, actually.
and she's from New York. Okay. So these ladies, they are more entrepreneurs. They have businesses. Yeah. Is it like fun to watch? Like, I don't know, they just have nice stuff, or they've got like, I imagine they're just like swimming in like La Mer cream and like all the things I can't afford. I think I have a money complex. I think I have like, I don't know. I'm like, these bitches, what are they? Do you think?
Yeah, as I'm watching it, I'm thinking like, it makes me just realize how much money rich people have. And I'm like, oh God, I just need to become rich. What is this? Why have I been afraid to be rich? I should just try to be rich now because
that's what it was.
Clearly better. It's clearly way better.
I know. I watch shows like this and I start hearing my mom's voice in my ear like, Chrissie, you didn't listen to me. You could have married a rich man. Instead, you had to take improv for 5 years and then do stand-up with all these weird men. That's what she would say. I would come home from improv every day, like in my 20s. My mom would be like, how was clown school? You know?
Oh no.
These men that you're hanging out with, you're wasting your best dating years. These are your best years. And do you know what? She was right.
What I also love about it is it's breaking stereotypes. Anybody who's never been to Utah is always like, oh, so you can't drink coffee in Utah, right? And there's like, or there's no bars there, or all this stuff. And I'm like, it's a regular city. Like Salt Lake City is a regular city. The rest of Utah is a little like, the small towns are always going to be weird and creepy. But there are small towns in Utah where there's like hidden polygamy. But in the city, it's a regular city. It's like a big LGBTQ city too.
And you're from Salt Lake City.
Like, yeah, right outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you have Mormon friends like growing up?
Yeah.
Do you know Mormons? What are they like? They're a foreign species to me. Yeah.
I come from a long line of Mormons, like back to the 1800s.
Really?
Early 1900s. Yeah. So like all my dad's side of the family, they're all Mormon, and like the fact that we weren't was like such a big deal. And my mom left the church by the time I was born. Both my parents had been divorced like once before they got together, and then again after they left each other. So
oh wow,
there was a lot.
Once you do it once, you're like, this wasn't so bad. Yeah.
And then as a kid, there was so much peer pressure to go to church, the Mormon church, which is so weird because like anywhere else, going to a Mormon church, you're like a total nerd and not cool. Whereas in Utah, it's like, oh, well, I can't play with you because you're not Mormon. Wow. It was like, those were always the people with money. Mormons have money. Okay.
Why do Mormons have money?
But Mormons have money.
How?
Okay.
What do they do?
They have this network of like, they help each other a lot.
They're like Jews. Yeah. It's like the Orthodox or whatever. He's Hasidic. I can't tell the difference. But like, I've never seen anything wrong with that.
Like really nice.
I always say the Jews, which like doesn't sound the way I mean it to sound, but it's like I lived in Williamsburg for years and I'm like, oh, they only talk to, work with, hang with each other. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. It's nice to have a community like that. Comedians are not like that. We don't give a shit about each other at all.
Every man for himself. Good luck. Hope you die. Yep.
Yeah. So they help each other out. Like if I knew a friend who like her parents got divorced and then her dad lost his job and like he was going to be homeless, and then the church bought the house that he was living in and let him live there for free. So they really take care of their own, That's
amazing.
So there's good and bad. There's the like peer pressure. You're not going to heaven. Shame. There's lots of shame. And then there's like the side of like, well, if you're a part of it, you're treated well. So I don't know. It's like the mob.
So it's like, and obviously there's multiple wives, right? Like, so it's like, is your goal as a Mormon to be like wife number 1, or do you want to be like wife number 6? Cause then, you know what I mean? Like you're off dick duty. You just have to do dishes or something.
That's actually only the fundamentalists. So it's like the difference between a like regular Christian or that Christian who like yells at you for listening to Beyonce or something. So like it's like there's the fundamentalists who like kept doing, and the church, the like main church, disowned them, and they were like, well, they're not following our doctrines anymore, they're doing their own thing. And so then the main doctrines, they decided not to have polygamy because Utah was not going to be accepted as another state of the United States unless they banned it, unless they said
what?
We can't. Yeah,
interesting.
So this was like
but
way
back. But they still do it like on the sly. Right?
Yeah, the fundamentalists do. Yeah, they are like, but they're not allowed to go to a regular church. So like the temple, the big temple that like is in Salt Lake City, like they will not accept people if they know they're polygamists. And they're they're so ashamed of that past that they go out of their way to like raid areas they think polygamists are in. So a lot of polygamists move to Mexico and like Canada to hide.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
They all
It's
get in
crazy.
the van, everyone. Just say you're my friends from college. Yeah. Do you have
we're brothers and sisters?
Yeah, the cousins, all of us. We are we're from the South. That's what's happening. Do you have are you still friends with like active Mormons?
Not really. My big brother converted, and
Whoa, what do you have to do?
You like make a promise and then you get baptized, and then he went on a 2-year mission to North Carolina and like knocked on doors, and it was like my mom was so disappointed. It was like worse than if he had come out gay. Okay, like if he had come out gay, she'd be like sad, but she would like, I still love you. But he came out Mormon, and she was like, fuck you and everything. She was so pissed.
Is it because she felt like she worked so hard to like pull you guys out of that scene?
Yeah.
Why did she
became a born again Christian? So that was the thing.
And why did she hate it so much? Just because like she never wanted you guys to be that, but like anything specifically?
Just because they had shamed her so much, and they just really, in Utah, they make you feel so shitty. If you're a Mormon anywhere else in the United States, no one cares. Like you can chill. Like you
People
could be
like, oh, you're Mormon. Ooh, like, but they're not shaming.
Yeah,
you.
like my brother, he moved to Tennessee, and he's like, he swears all the time. He drinks all the caffeine he wants. No one cares. But in Utah, this whole like culture of shame is like a thing. So that's why she was so against it and just pissed.
Did you feel that even though the Mormon thing was not in your immediate orbit, but it was like you were kind of surrounded by it, did you feel like you had to rebel against that at all, or you were cool?
Yeah, definitely. Being a bad girl like felt good, because it was like, screw you, I don't need your heaven, you know. I have
my own heaven, and I'm gonna be making out with whoever I want. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely.
There's
neat. a lot of that.
I don't know anything about Mormons. I just find it all like so interesting.
Yeah.
His name is Raymond, the Amish comic. And he's like, he's not even Amish. Like he just has the beard and has the getup, and like he's found his niche. Yeah. And no, I'm like, I was so disappointed to learn he's like not even actually like a practicing. He's like, no, this is my thing. I was like, oh boy.
Oh no.
But he looks like it. Oh, now the dog's coming in here. Great.
Oh,
that's okay. You want to meet her? Hi, Muffin. I know.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, this is Muffin. Look at Muffin.
Oh, I love Muffin. Hi. He's so cute.
So cute. I don't know if this is a golden doodle thing.
Oh no. We lost Chrissie. Where'd she go? I guess this is my show now, and thanks for coming to Camille Mayer podcast. Thanks for watching. I think that the dog had something to do with this. Do we just keep going? I feel like, do I let her? I don't think I have any control over any of this.
Okay.
You're back.
So just as I expected, Muffin kicked out my internet cord, and anyway, were you still talking to the people in my absence?
Yeah.
I love that. Oh my God, this is perfect. I don't even have to edit anything. You're the best. You're the best. Anyway, I was gonna say, Muffin, like she licks your face, and it's almost like as if her goal is to like lick so that there's no more features, like just so your face is just like a flat skin thing. And then I'm like, she's biting me a little bit. What's happening? I don't know. It's
That's hilarious.
Anyway, I'm obsessed. with
I
her
want a
because
golden doodle so bad.
she's so good and she's so smart. And I'm learning
Mhm.
the difference of like I'm learning what her different barks mean. Like her favorite thing is like
Oh.
she'll take a sock and like she'll like taunt you. She'll be like, "You want this sock, right?" And then she'll like walk away and she'll be like, "Are you gonna do anything about it?" And then she gets mad when you don't like chase her.
Oh,
And I'm like, I don't know.
cute.
Yep. These are the
Yeah.
things that I'm living because I didn't have a dog growing up. Like we sort of had a stray dog, Benji, that we were keeping in the backyard. Yeah, my parents didn't even let Benji in the house. Now that I think about it, it's kind of mean. And then my dad was like, "Oh, Benji escaped," and I feel like he just straight up opened the gate. I feel like he just was like, "Bye, we're tired of feeding you."
Yeah. Wow.
Lord.
Yeah, we had a lot of dogs growing up too. I had a lot. Lots.
Is your family proud of you for releasing an album, or are they kind of just like my family, like, wow, I guess you're still doing this comedy thing. Guess you're still doing it.
I didn't tell my mom because the jokes about her are she won't like them.
Why not?
Because I make fun of like she's okay. First of all, she can't take a joke. She's very she's in denial about reality. Okay. So she can't just she heard a podcast where I mentioned that she was an alcoholic when I was younger. And she's like, "Camille, why would you say I was an alcoholic?" And I was like,
boomers hate that word. They hate to be called out for being alcoholics. Like,
I was like,
it's
so
so
you went
common.
to AA.
Oh, wow.
I was like, she went to AA and she stopped drinking. But she didn't want me to call her an alcoholic. And I was like, I thought once you were an alcoholic, you were always an alcoholic. I thought anyway. So
yeah, you get the coin, you get the whole thing. You're in the group. Yeah. You're in the group.
So I just, I don't share those things with her. I'd rather her just think I'm a perfect little angel.
Yeah. And you are a perfect little angel. That's like part of what you're saying. That's how I got into stand up, is because I was like, oh, I can finally be honest because I don't feel like I can say whatever I want and talk about my feelings at home. Like, oh, let's subject a room full of strangers to my deepest thoughts.
Exactly. But my dad is proud. My dad is excited. And my sister.
Oh, has he listened to the album? Or no, you're just not telling mom?
He was there. He saw it live.
Wow.
So,
okay, cool.
Hear him laugh.
Aww.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so great, Camille. I'm so proud of you. Everyone, please go buy / listen to Camille's album, Douchebag Deterrent, on iTunes, Spotify, or Amazon Music. What inspired the name Douchebag Deterrent?
It's my favorite joke. I can't tell it anymore because I have long hair now, but back in my short hair days, it was like my opener.
I remember the short hair days. Yeah.
Yeah. And I made merch with this on there, with it on there. And it was just always my favorite thing because I felt like it was the best opener at that time. I love having short hair because it's a douchebag deterrent. They see me and go, "Ooh, opinions." So it was my favorite joke. So
it's hard when you have merch based on a haircut because you're like, all right, like either the merch has to go or the hair's got to stay the same.
Yep.
It's hard, but we're doing it. I'm so proud of you. I can't wait to see what you do next. Will you expand, the Housewife podcast into the other cities, or you're focusing mostly on SLC and NYC?
So for this, since they're recording right now, the next season, we are actually going to start talking about the Housewives of New York City because we're here. So we might as well, and so starting in April, we'll start on the Housewives of New York City, and that will go into Salt Lake City once that next season comes out. Yeah.
I can't imagine what Real Housewives of New York City is going to be like because there's no Broadway, there's no restaurants really open. Like, what are they going to do with themselves?
They'll probably be in the Hamptons the entire show.
Of course. How could I forget? Oh, none of them are actually in the city. They all escaped a year ago. They're doing fine. I hate them so much. Camille, where can people find you, follow you? If you want to plug your website or anything else that I forgot.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, Camille Comedy. Also TikTok, Camille Comedy, the number 2. CamilleTheobald.com is my website. And you can also there find links to the album on iTunes and all that. And yeah, those are the 3 main places.
Awesome. Yeah, so you had been doing some videos with John Laster a few months ago. John is so great. You guys are so funny together. So yes, I forgot totally about TikTok. Thank you. Camille, thank you so much for coming on the pod.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Excited to see what you do next. And yeah, we'll talk soon.
Awesome.
Bye.